the main event of WrestleMania is Cody and Roman. They have a graphic for it. But we still have another match at Elimination Chamber, which they announced, Roman versus Sami. And there was the angle on SmackDown where Sami came out, jumped Roman, then got beat up, and then, still was standing at the end. And my problem, I mentioned this on Wrestling Observer Radio last night. We talked about it in the Slack. My main problem, I don't need Sami to win this match. I just need them to not tell me that he's going to lose. Like, I want to think as a fan that he's got a chance to beat Roman, because the story of the last 2.5 years of Roman has been pretty much the same. Like, set him up, he's going to knock him down. The match may be good. It may be sort of by the book. The Kevin Owens match, that was all angle. The match was okay, but it was really about the angle. And I just think you have an opportunity to take advantage of something with Sami. And I would have loved to see Sami come out in week 1 after the Royal Rumble and just run Roman out of the ring, and just Roman just being like, okay, this guy's a little bit different than I thought. But unless I'm just reading into this because I think this is going to happen, because this is what often happens, it just seemed like that storyline was there to say, hey, let's put a pause on this Sami thing. It's still about Roman and less about Sami. What do you think about that, Jeff?
They made the emotional pivot, Jay, last week.
Mm-hmm.
I am flabbergasted by the number of people who think they should call an audible and belt Sami. And these are mostly fans of other wrestling. Yeah. And I get that.
Yeah.
But WWE has never told that story. WWE can't tell the story of the kick-ass underdog. And the former guy who's supposedly not involved in creative anymore never wanted to tell that story because look at him. Do you think he could kick somebody's ass? No, that's what they said with Daniel Bryan, of all people. It looks like more of the same in terms of the optics of the new regime in many ways. The time to call the audible was Drew at Clash at the Castle. That was the time to call the audible. This one, it's the difference between having a great story and what's best for business. And I just don't see WWE business expanding with the champion Sami Zayn. Now, that's not to say I don't like Sami Zayn. That's not to say I don't think he's one of the best wrestlers. And that's not to say he's not killing it in this story, because this is, to me, one of the best stories WWE has told in at least 15 years for the most part. That said, WWE audiences are what they are. They are told who's stars. They are told that big guys, with muscles and good looking and leading men, and the ones that have come out of central casting are the champion types. They would be way ahead of this story if you belted Sami, because they'd be going, okay, who are you going to give the belt to take it off of him? They'd know transitional champion. And I don't think you can tell the story. Don't get me wrong. You can tell the story of Sami being the ass kicker who comes out and Roman's now afraid of him, but you have to tell it. And they just don't want to tell it. Yep. And you can tell that. And I agree with you 100%. If I were, running a company, I'd probably belt Sami for a while here, because look, we don't like, we say we like underdogs in America, but we don't in many ways. Like, we love the first round upsets.
Yeah.
But if the team that gets in the NCAA tournament with the 14-16 record made it to the finals and won, we'd be going, well, it's kind of a waste of a season because this fluky team went on a run at the end. It'd be a great story and be a footnote, say, versus we like the Dukes, we like the North Carolinas.
But didn't Villanova 1985? How long did they live off of that?
But how much was college basketball expanded by that win versus, say, the runs that Carolina and Duke went on? Afterwards.
Yeah, sure. But when you sell a tournament on the idea that anybody can win.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
That's your example,
right?
But
okay, let me use another. Okay, so let's say the Carolina Panthers had snuck in with the losing record as the winners of the NFC South and went to the Super Bowl and won. We'd just kind of be going, all right, that was a nice story. It was fluky, but it was overall bad for football.
Yeah, they'd say, oh, that's
everyone
what happens
would be whinging, and especially people who, especially with the expanded betting situation, and people especially the Vegas people. That is not the story that they want at the betting tables.
That long-winded diatribe to say, Garrett, you were exactly correct. They could tell this story, but they're terrible at it, and they won't tell this story.
I agree with you, and that's why I think I was so flustered, is because you don't have to belt Sami. You just have to make it seem like he's got a shot.
Yes, you have to give the illusion of championship heft with him, and instead they he's a maniac, he's out of control. No, have him be in full control. The more interesting choice would be Sami has now seen the light, and now Sami needs to know what he has to do. Much like the more interesting choice would have been Sami taking over the bloodline and taking it away from Roman. But they didn't do that story either, because it's all about, because this is all about Roman's journey to being a babyface again, really, in some ways.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and it absolutely is 100%.
But now the emotional heft is with, well, what's Jay going to do? Because everybody was chanting for Jay, and it's like, we know what Jay's going to do.
Yeah, and Jay's going to, he's going to do what he does, so they set up that tag match more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess
it's mostly because he can't go to Montreal, so they need him to be MIA. I mean, is there a whole issue with that?
There's a good point.
It's definitely.
They could have disappeared Jay as part of the storyline simply because they know for sure that he can't make a show that's coming up.
Okay, except that angle doesn't work unless he interferes in Montreal, right?
I guess
they can draw that out.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it on the next.
It could be the Freebird rules with Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe what will happen on SmackDown.
I think Sam may have mentioned something like that too.
Or they both end up. I mean, Jay doesn't take part in the beatdown. He takes part in the aftermath on the following SmackDown.
Yeah.
And then that starts the ball rolling.
Yeah. Okay. So a wrestling person, someone in the industry, said, what if they actually had Sami beat Roman at Elimination Chamber, and then as they're setting up Sami versus Cody, Roman requests his rematch and he beats Sami on night one? I think that's a little bit too convoluted. Yeah. Sami would get his moment, and the fan base who has been involved in this storyline for the longest would get a payoff. But then you're gonna have Roman lose, win, and then lose again to Cody, which I don't know if I like that story as much. I like Roman going in there strong, beating Cody. I just want them to tell the story that Sami could win, has a great chance to win, is a smart wrestler. Maybe this was part of his calculus the whole time. He was outsmarting those guys. He was getting close to his enemy. But I just don't sense. I sense from the TV on Friday, they're just saying, nope, he's just another hurdle for Roman. He's the second guy.
What if they did a Dusty finish, and they took one of the belts away? Yeah.
I was actually thinking about that because of the first 2-night WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Kingdom. Where they did the thing with the funny belt thing, and then they ultimately ended up unifying the belts, which I think has even been this would be like a reverse unification, like a de-unification, right? In this case.
I don't like Dusty finishes per se, but it's one of those things where it's like it feels like
WWE.
It feels like they're gonna give Montreal that moment and just tell them to F off.
Yeah, take it away.
Yeah.
We're never coming back.
Yeah, remember what we did to Brett?
Just a big old reminder.
Can you imagine if Roman puts the sharpshooter on in that match?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, so the Dusty finish is interesting. I just hope they don't ever do it in a Cody match, because Cody will never
feels like
hear
they're going to do either that or the Mankind finish. Where it's just they throw him and then eventually they just take the belt away from him like a week later or 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, sir, you can't have this. You're too crazy.
Well, I mean, it's like this is your this is you get your token of appreciation or something.
You could put it in Montreal and they could bring up some obscure
you did such
role
a great job in the story.
He wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
He's like, we actually can't recognize this because it was won in the country of Canada.
Yeah, it feels like Adam Pearce is going to be involved in this somehow.